Welcome back, puppies. Barking Dog Studio presents Claris and Vel'Qhar Part 1. I purchased these miniatures from Star Hat Miniatures with the intentions of entering them into Star Hat Miniatures Brushes of Doom painting contest, running from October through December 1st of 2018. And there you saw me pointing out a blemish she had on her face and some of the flash on the base on the mold line. And there you can see a mold line running through the cowl or hood of her cloak. That was Claris. This is Vel'Qhar. He was actually a much cleaner model. He has some holes down towards where he mounts on his base at, but other than that he's actually pretty clean. Now that's the base he came with, that wooden dowel rod and that wooden wheel or disc, but that's not the base that I'm going to be using. And this Privateer press base that I use for both Claris and Vel'Qhar. That one's Claris, and this one is what I'm going to be using for Vel'Qhar. Now the clear rod there is left over from a older, like 2nd edition 40k Dark Eldar model set that I had. Here we go to work filing down those mold lines. Of course the footage is sped up. The idea behind Star Hat Miniatures line is that they're a little bulkier. They're made to look much more close to the original pewter miniatures you saw in the late 70s and through the 80s and early 90s. So they're a little bulkier. So I'm entering two different entries here. Claris is going to be my solo Delver entry, and then Vel'Qhar is going to be my Wandering Monster entry. Again, this model is actually pretty clean. There wasn't a whole lot of cleanup work to be done. He's actually in pretty good shape, and I honestly think he is one of the better beholder type models you'll find on the market that aren't put out by Wizards of the Coast or WizKids. Here we're just giving him a good scrub bath in isopropyl alcohol to remove any mold release or any dust particles from the filing. Even after I recorded the videos, I would still continually touch them up a little bit. And in the final video of the series, you'll get to see the final pictures that I'll be using to submit. Because part of the contest is actually online. You just have to take good quality of the miniatures and submit them to Star Hat Miniatures. And here I'm using some P3 Cardic flesh for the base of her skin tone, and her face is the only flesh on her that's not exposed, or yeah, that is exposed, that's not covered up. And here we got some Menoth base white. It's actually an off-white. It's kind of a cream color, kind of almost leaning towards the beige tone, and it's a really excellent base for laying down any kind of white. And I use Menoth base, or excuse me, Menoth white highlight on top of this for the white part of her outfit. You don't ever really want to use a pure white as a base because it won't help you add the dimension that you get from shadows. Like in this model's case, the part of her body is kind of shadowed from her cowl and from her shield and just her stance. And then there's also wrinkles or folds in the fabric. And to help those areas really pop, you don't want a real bright white in the recesses. This Menoth base white does a really good job of helping accentuate those recessed areas. So then later when you put the white highlight down, the raised areas pop more and give you your dimension. And then when you see me going over to the wet palette, I'm just really hitting a little droplet of water that's on there and kind of thinning out the paint that I brought over from the paint pot on the bottle. And here we go with some Midland flesh from P3. That will be the mid-tone for the flesh on her face. So you see there, I'm not covering her face as liberally as I did with the Cardic flesh, which is a darker Caucasian tone that I used for the base. Here I was just getting really the profile side of her face there. I'm not worried about getting under the chin or the neck where I applied some of the cat art flesh earlier. Well, thank you very much. Bark on, puppies. Please like, share, and subscribe.